Hey everybody, welcome to the Otherppl show. I'm Brad Listi here in Los Angeles. This is a weekly podcast featuring in-depth interviews with today's leading writers. It's good to be with you. I appreciate you listening. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button wherever you get your shows. You can also subscribe over at YouTube. Follow me on social media, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and Blue Sky. So my guest today is Aleksandr Skorobogatov, author of the novel Russian Gothic.
I consider myself be lucky to not being a conformist, to have this little courage. I don't know. I'm probably an idealist. I don't know. I'm a dreamer. Dreaming is a huge power, and my dreams were way too big for such compromises. I thought you cannot write good literature if you are not absolutely clean morally.
That was Aleksandr Skorobogatov, author of the novel Russian Gothic, available now in translation in the United States from Rare Bird. The book is translated by Ilona Yazhbin Chavasse. The Figaro calls Russian Gothic, quote, a great Russian novel in the grand Russian tradition. The book was originally published in Russia in 1991. It has gone on to sell over 1 million copies. Russian Gothic has been hailed as an early masterpiece of post-Soviet literature. It is a short, dark novel about a man named Nikolai, a veteran of the Soviet-Afghan War, who descends in devastating fashion into paranoia. I had a very fascinating conversation with Aleksandr Skorobogatov. That is coming up momentarily. A quick reminder that I do a weekly email newsletter. I would love it if you signed up over at Substack. And if you listen to this show regularly, I hope you will join the Otherppl Patreon community over at patreon.com/otherpplpod. Help keep this show going into the future. A note, too, on scheduling. I have mentioned this on social media, but I do want to flag that today is supposed to be an episode of my pop culture series with Mira Gonzalez, but Mira, as it turns out, is out sick this week. So I am sharing with you a second author interview rather than just leave you hanging. So that is why you get 2 author interviews this week. Today's episode is brought to you by Penguin Press, publisher of the memoir and essays The Way You Make Me Feel by Nina Sharma. This is a book about love and allyship told through one Asian and Black interracial relationship. Nina Sharma chronicles her relationship with her husband Quincy, and in so doing, she examines how their Black and Asian relationship becomes the lens through which she understands the world. Again, the book is called The Way You Make Me Feel. It is a memoir in essays by Nina Sharma, available now wherever books are sold from Penguin Press. My guest, once again, is Aleksandr Skorobogatov. His novel, now available in translation in the United States, is called Russian Gothic, available from Rare Bird, translated by Ilona Yazhbin Chavasse. Aleksandr Skorobogatov was born in Grodno, in what is now Belorussia. He won the prestigious International Literary Award Città di Penne for the Italian edition of Russian Gothic. It also received the Best Novel of the Year award from Yunost. Another novel called Cocaine, published in 2017, won Belgium's Cutting Edge Award for Best Book International. Aleksandr's most recent novel is called Raccoon, and it was published by Geus in 2020. He lives and works in Belgium, and I am grateful to have had the opportunity to meet him and talk with him about his life and his work. So let's get to today's conversation. This is Aleksandr Skorobogatov, and his novel, once again, is called Russian Gothic.
It was published in 1991, but I wrote it a couple of years ago before. I don't remember exactly when I wrote it. Why? Because it wasn't possible to publish a novel such Russian Gothic in Soviet Union. It was my first long text, and as a writer, it's quite a step from a short story to a long to a novel. I wrote it in 6 days, and I couldn't sleep for 8 nights, 8 nights thereafter. I wasn't, and I'm not. How do you call it? Bipolar syndrome or something like that. I wasn't in any. I can't explain. I cannot explain it. Actually, what happened then, because the text you are reading of, because the text you've read is actually almost literally the text that's I've written then in 6 days time.
With not much revision, like it just came out in a shot.
It just happened. Then the last day, I reread this novel, and I thought, what a awful shit have I written, and I once again I didn't had I had a experience of writing a big text, so it was all of a sudden and very new for me. So I put it away. Then after some time, it took quite a courage to read it again. Okay, I found it the second time not that bad. All I could do at the time with the text as Russian Gothic, I gave it to my best friend to read the manuscript. He liked it. Then I probably a couple of other friends did read it at that time, and I forgotten about the novel because I didn't try to find a publisher for the text because I knew it wasn't publishable. We had at the time the expression to write for the table. As a writer, as a non-conformist writer, you knew that if you wanted to write an honest, real text, you had to write it for a table because it won't be published. It will never be published. So either writing for a table or becoming a conformist writer and writing actually a propaganda masked as literature. So a couple of years, I presume, later, my short story Executioner was published and was published quite successfully. And
In a magazine?
in a literary magazine, in a nationwide magazine. So it was quite a shock for everyone that how come, and I probably must have had some serious connections. So, but I didn't have any connection. Okay, and the strange thing for me to this day is that it was actually a anti-communist story. The only one anti-communist story I've written. And this story was published and successfully published. And I mean, I don't know why. Of all text I've written in these early years they've chosen this one. But okay, and a couple of months later, it was a late winter evening. I was I came to our students' home, so a big building for a couple of 200, I think, geniuses uh, um, of students of these famous Gorky Literary Institute when I studied at that time, and I got a felicitation from the first person I've met. He said, "Congrats with your novel." It didn't make any sense for me, so I went further, and a couple of other friends told me more or less the same. Congrats with your novel. So I asked them what which novel I'm talking about, and the answer was the novel that will be published next year. Of course, I thought, okay, and they saw a announcement by my publisher for the next year, where it yeah, where they announced a novel by Aleksandr Skorobogatov. So I I came to my I went to my student room, and I thought, how could I fucked up this opportunity, because they are ready to publish a novel of mine, and I don't have a novel. I have a lot of friends which I see every day, but I'm not writing anything, and literally it took me some time. I mean, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 6 minutes and a half to remember that I actually had a novel, this Russian Gothic thing, and so I thought, no, it's impossible. They are not going to publish it. It's just impossible.
Why?
A French publisher and Italian publisher of Russian Gothic didn't publish, for example, the intro, the first couple of a page and a half approximately, because even now, now 10 years ago, they found it to uh, which word
Violent?
to violence, excessively violent. And violence. I presume that the problem was that it would sell less better with this extreme violence beginning, which is functional. So that and another things, because it wasn't a socialistic realism, this text, and that was basically all that was published at these days. And but I retype on a type machine um, the text, and it's with some editing, minor editing, and I brought it to my publisher, and I was actually quite sure that it won't work out, and that they won't publish this text. But in a couple of days, I received a telephone call, and they told me we are going to publish it. And not only we are going to publish it, but we're going to publish it very soon. And we have already edited this text, and it's much better now. And come here, and you will see the text. And congrats again. And so I coming to my publisher, and I I received all possible congratulations, and then I was handed my text, my novel, where with extremely with quite a lot pieces that were left out of the text, and
Wait, so somebody had edited. Somebody had edited your words.
and yes, and the editor sat in the room, and she told me, it's much better. You just have to read it. Maybe take it with you. Give it a couple of days, but you will see it's better. And okay, all this festive thing that all this euphoria was over, because it wasn't my text anymore. I couldn't understand it. Why so much text omitted, taken out? So I went to my institute, literary institute, Gorky. It was also in the center of Moscow, and there I sat at the windowsill while I was going through this text. And our head of our institute came, saw me, and he knew that a novel of mine was going to be published, and he saw, congrats, what a huge deal, your novel will be published, and why are you why that serious, as Joker would have said. And I told him that I just received this edited text, and I don't know what to think about. And he told me, that's the man who later became the first minister of culture of the independent Russia. So it was quite a serious person. He told me to show the text to him, so he maybe could give me some advice. So okay, he read it, and he told me it's not the text has not been edited. The text been censored. It's not just a yeah. And he told me, okay, and he told me by whom it was censored. It's
So who
quite,
was it?
quite,
It was
quite.
who was it that censored it? It was the guy that went on to become the Minister of Culture?
No. This guy who went on to be Minister of Culture was the head of our institute, and he told me that my so-called editor has censored it. I couldn't match it to myself, because censorship, it was for real writers, and I was just a guy of 25 years or so. It was too big for me. This notion of censorship, and I asked him, what should I do? And he told me, just let it be published and forget it, and write something new. Everybody does it. And so I talked about it with a couple of real writers, and that was it was advice that I've got from every one of these writers. Just let it be. Just publish it like they want it, and forget it. Everybody does it. And we had a um, a professor. He was a critic, literary critic. I mean, and he told me it was the only one man who told me, you can lose your reputation just like that. It's very easy, and then you won't be able to to attain it back. I understand. He told me, I understand how important it is for you, but think about it. Think twice. And then I went back to my publisher, and I told him that I don't want this publication go. I will cancel this publication. And he asked me why. I told him I don't agree with the editing. I didn't spoke about censorship. It's not to offend him. And he told me, you cannot imagine yourself how difficult it was to get your novel almost published. I can't believe you're doing something like that to me. And he went to this with me to this editor slash censor, and he told her, it was a woman, that Aleksandr is about to cancel the publication. Can work it out with him. And so I was thinking it wasn't a light decision to do something like that, because I didn't know anybody of my age who could publish a novel back then. So it seemed to be an opportunity of my life, and so I thought I'm just ruining my life. But in like 10 minutes or 15 minutes, they agreed to take back the text I needed. I wanted to be taken back.
So wait, you threatened, just so I'm clear, you told them, I want to cancel this book. I don't want to publish it. And then within a few minutes, they said, okay, fine. We'll put the text back in that we had censored.
Yeah. And that's maybe the most surprising moment of fact about this thing, that it wasn't that difficult to get this book, this text of mine uncensored. I just had to try to do it.
You used your leverage. You said, fine, then we won't publish it. And they caved. And just so I'm clear too, the story that you published called Executioner, is that what it's called?
Yeah,
The Executioner?
Yeah.
That was your debut. It was a short story that was published in a literary...
1889.
1989 in the literary magazine called Yunost.
Yunost, yeah.
Yunost, which has a circulation. I think it boasted a circulation
3
of
million. 3 million at that. My it was my story was published in 3. If I'm not mistaken, 3 million for 400,000 copies. So it was quite a lot.
Yeah, I have a question though. So was Yunost that was a state-run literary magazine, or was it a private enterprise?
No. It was a state-run magazine, but that was a strange time. It was about the high time of Gorbachev's glasnost and perestroika. So at that time, everybody had received it's difficult to say. There was quite a lot of freedom at this moment, but nobody knew how much precisely freedom they had. And maybe I think about this about this first short story being published as of some kind of test of this magazine, of how far can we go, how much freedom do we have with publishing, because I was literally nobody at that time. So if that was wrong, they could have give me the how do you call it? They could blame me for this wrong text and say, we will never publish him anymore. But it's it turned out good. So maybe it was maybe it was such.
Yeah, I mean, so just so listeners understand the historical context of Russian Gothic, you like as you said, this was published. What Executioner came out in 1989,
Yeah.
and it was
Yeah. Yeah.
in Yunost, which was like a state-sponsored literary magazine with a circulation of 3 million.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of American or Western listeners will hear that and go, "Oh my God, a literary magazine with a circulation of 3 million?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
incredible."
There was a little, quite a lot of how do you call it? Appetite for new literature, for new text, new names. So, but I have to say it was quite it was a short period of time when the literary magazines reached such a circulation. It was my magazine was the most popular at the time, but other we had 5 or 6 thick literary magazines, so-called thick literary magazines, which yeah, with nationwide circulation, and some of them also had a million and a half circulation. And I presume it went on for a couple of months, maybe a year, and then it began to get down and
Okay, so the timing was right, and we also, for people whose Soviet history is not super sharp, in 1989, this is like you said, Perestroika, Glasnost, the waning days of Mikhail Gorbachev's reign as the leader
Mhm.
of the Soviet Union. It's also the twilight of the Soviet Union. The Soviet
Yes.
Union dissipated in 91, was it?
Yeah. Yes. Last 2 weeks, I believe of 91.
Okay, so
It was destroyed.
this is when the Executioner story was published, and on the strength of that story's performance, it was a popular
Hmm.
story.
Hmm.
Then this magazine, or was it the Gorky Institute, said we want to publish a novel by you.
Um, yeah.
And so
But
you have this thing in the drawer. You wrote it for the table, as you said.
yeah,
You wrote Russian Gothic for the table. And I want to say that your title for it was different than the English. I think it was just
it
called
was
Sergeant Bertrand.
Bertrand. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So you grab this thing out of the drawer, you bring it to this to the Gorky Institute or to the publisher who's going
To
to
the
publish,
publisher. Yeah. To the
and
publisher.
they try to censor it. You stand up for yourself, so they give you the opportunity to
Hmm.
publish it uncensored, and then what happened? It becomes a sensation. It sells more than 1 million copies.
Yeah, but a little bit less than a million. But yes, I became. I don't. All the doors went open for me. I yeah, quite suddenly. I got. I don't know. I cannot see use a word famous, but I got a. I was asked to write 4 movies, 4 movies at once, um, which I tried to do, and I wrote first script, and then I broke the okay. It's a history of broken connections. This last month in the Soviet Union, I was quite distracted at this period because I was in love very much, and all the rest. Even the publication of this novel wasn't that important for me. And then I left Soviet Union for initially a couple of weeks to meet the parents of my wife, and I've never returned.
So wait, your wife is not Russian?
But
She's
she in the meantime, ex wife, she's a Belgian, and so yeah, and
So you left what
I
was
left
then Russia
Soviet
or
Union. I
Soviet
left
Union
Soviet Union.
to
Yes,
go to
in
Belgium, and you stayed.
and I stayed because this wasn't the maybe the main purpose of me coming to Belgium. I mean, meeting the parents of my wife for the first time, but she hoped to find work for some Western company in Moscow, because before that she she could only get a tourist visa to be there. She couldn't get any how do you call it? Yeah, green card or even a longer visa wasn't possible in our situation. So I went normally for 2 weeks to Belgium, and I couldn't return because the Soviet Union ceased to exist. I had a passport of Soviet Union, and then I came, and but it wasn't legal anymore. It wasn't. I had to come. I had to come to the Russian embassy to get some kind of how do you yeah some kind of how do you call it stamp. They had to recognize my old passport as a new passport, as a working passport. And then when I went to the embassy, they told me, okay, it will cost you $1,000, and it was a bribe. And so I told no, I won't do it. And they told me, okay, you won't get a passport. So I tried another time, and the price went 3 times lower, but it was a bribe once again, and I didn't want to pay it because I didn't find it. It was okay. So I didn't have a passport to come back to Russia, and so I stayed in Belgium. And my ex-wife was trying to find work for some Belgian company in Moscow in Russia, which didn't. She couldn't find such an opportunity. So we stayed in Belgium, and yeah, for quite a time, for 10 years, I thought I'm going back. It's just yeah, I'm just visiting this beautiful country, but I'm going back. And then my son had been kidnapped and killed in Moscow, and near Moscow.
Wait,
And
your son was kidnapped and killed in Moscow?
my son yeah, in 2002. I was married before this. My son from my previous marriage had been kidnapped and killed, and that was
How old was he?
it was 15 years.
Ay.
And the next year he had to come to me and to live with me for forever. That was the moment when I I decided not to, not that okay, I decided not to come, not to return to Russia, and just to accept that Belgium is my home. But beside beside this decision, I couldn't emotionally, I couldn't go there to Russia because of what happened. So I went there. My two last times were one time for his funeral, and the last time for the process for when his killers um, were being sentenced.
So what happened with the killers? Was this like a government
No,
killing, or was just he was just killed by what, gangs, or what was it?
it's it's just wrong place, wrong time. It was a random killing by three, normal. It's it. I've written a novel about event. Finally, I was able to write about that. So I hope it will be my next book. But it's they these three men sent by a priest who told them that they had some how do you, there was some thing broken. I don't know what precisely at the cemetery, and this priest told these three men that it was the work of Satanists, and he told them, these three men, find them and punish them, Satanists. It's actually the same thing that Putin says at this moment about Ukraine, and actually about the rest of us, Satanists. So these three men took out a car, and they just went to find so-called Satanists, and they. Um, my son wasn't the only one who they attacked this evening, and they initially they kidnapped another two boys, even younger, I think, 13 years or maybe 14 years, and then they found my son was just wandering with his friends, and it was on a dacha. So
It was on
it's a
what?
summer dacha. It's a
Oh,
Russian word for vacation house.
yeah.
Of so had they had a barbecue, and they went for a stroll, and then these three guys found them and took him away, and
God.
and yeah, and then yeah, and the next time I saw him was his funeral.
I'm so
So
sorry. I'm so sorry.
yeah,
That's terrible. And I can't help but note that in Russian Gothic, which you had written many years prior,
yeah,
the Nikolai character is grieving the loss of his son.
yeah. Russian writer, forbidden Russian writer, so in Soviet Union, Yerofeev had written a novel, his only novel, I believe. It was also a novel written for a table. Moskva Petushki, Moscow Petushki was the title, and in the end, the me person, the main character, has been killed by an angel with a sword in his throat, and this author had later get cancer cancer of his throat. I'm not sure what's the English term for this, but you see this strange. I don't know why. What's how it happened, but yeah, it's such things that fiction catch up with us in real life. The things which we imagining and writing about can catch up in real life with us.
Yeah, that's really, it's kind of eerie, but I'm so sorry again. And they did catch these people who did this.
Yeah, because they attacked there are so many boys actually, because they didn't attack any grown-up person, men, only adolescent boys, um, and so quite a lot of people saw this car and this three killers this night. So in a matter of 1 week or 2 weeks, maybe they were found, and that it wasn't that difficult. But these killers, okay, it's clear, all clear what their role was, and so, but this priest who sent them has never been charged with anything. He wasn't even named at the process, and I couldn't understand it then, but I understand it now, of course, because Putin needs the church. The church is actually a kind of new communist party for him. It's an extremely strong ally of Putin.
This is the Russian Orthodox Church?
Russian Orthodox churches.
Oh, yeah, because I mean, I think like at first blush, you think of the former Soviet Union, you don't think of religion, right? You don't think of like a
It
religious.
was forbidden. It was forbidden. Religion was forbidden. Just and I was, for example, I was baptized. I was secretly baptized in the Soviet Union, because every church had to produce to KGB all the names of the people who yeah who had been baptized. And so my how do you call it, this mother, the godmother, had yeah could organize it so that I could be baptized without registering, without landing on any list, which later would be produced to KGB, the secret service at the time.
So there is in your novel, just to bring this back to Russian Gothic, this main character, Nikolai, whose mental health is deteriorating. He's in a kind of alcoholic, depressive, post-traumatic stress disorder state of being. It's a hallucinatory state of being. He's hallucinating, I think. And he is a veteran of the Soviet military and its operation in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
So once again, there are some parallels that seem sort of predictive and eerie with the benefit of hindsight, to think of this character that you created and the circumstances that he is in as a result of Soviet military operations. I can't help but think of what's happening now in Ukraine and the massive loss of life and the enormous number of casualties sustained on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
So it's history is repeating itself. I'm curious to know if I don't think you have any military experience, do you?
No. No single a friend of mine went to the Soviet army. I was lucky to get really bad eyes. So I was. They had to. How do you call? Yeah, they had to. How do you call it? To
Defer
defer me 2 times they tried to enlist me 2 times in the Soviet Union, and 1 time in Belgium. Even, but I was lucky not to escape this. But all my friends had simulated psychological problems my best friend who now lives in the US, he told it wasn't that easy. It was dangerous. But for example, he told it was one thing. It was a part of his story, of his role. He told when he had to visit some kind of doctor, and this doctor asked him, and surely happy to go to the army, and he told no, and I will kill the first person who will give me a how do you call it, a command there in the army. And that's with some other issues he simulated, was the reason that he was then committed to a clinic for evaluation, and he got some, literally they gave him a hysteropsychopath disorder, I believe. That was the official statement. And based on this statement, he was cleared of his duty to go to the army. And most probably, he would be sent to Afghanistan. And this first time when I was called to this recruitment bureau, this was we were told that we will be sent to Afghanistan, and okay, I was probably the only one who escaped. If it weren't for my eyes, I would also simulate some kind of psychological distortion. I don't know, but
You would have been sent to war. You would have been sent off to
yes,
fight.
yeah,
And
yeah. But there was no. I would never do it. I would never do it. I would never agree to do it. To
don't
go
you do you have a
to
choice? You don't have a choice if they select you, right?
yeah. No, but there is a choice. You can always disagree, but it would have consequences. That's the only problem.
Like
You
what? What consequences?
prison.
So you would
To
have
go to
gone to
prison.
prison.
I would go. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I
So
would.
I
I
have to stop. I have to stop you because I feel like there is a recurring theme in you that is worth noting. It's like, one, you're very stubborn, uh, and you have integrity. I think that, and you have courage because as a young man,
Thank
you
you.
say you were in your 20s and they wanted to censor your novel, and you said, "No, fuck you. I'm not publishing it." You held your ground. A
Yeah.
lot of people would have caved, and then there was another instance. What was it? Was it when you went to Belgium? I forget. But then it's also this incident where
Yeah.
you're not going to go to the
Pain.
army.
Pain. Yeah. Yeah. But I consider myself be lucky to not being a conformist, to not be to have this little courage.
Where does it
Eventually,
come? Where does it come from? Where does it come
I
from?
don't I don't I don't know. I'm probably an idealist. I don't know. I think that I'm a dreamer. Dreaming is a huge power, and my dreams were way too big to for opportunism, or for compromises, such compromises. I really I my when I was at my 20s, I thought you cannot write good literature if you are not morally, if you are not absolutely clean morally, if you, yeah, writing was for me a moral issue, a moral, yeah, moral. I cannot formulate it well in English, but that was one of the um, points, why I couldn't sell myself. I don't know, to compromise.
Well, I mean, it served you well.
I hope so. I hope so. But when I think about all these men who are being sent to Ukraine at this moment, I have written a column about this, about men who are being mobilized now by Putin, and why are they're going to Ukraine? Why are they ready to die for actually for nothing? And I'm sure they are able to not to go. They are able to disagree, to stay at home, not to stay at home, but it as you said, it takes some courage to say no, even though the alternative to prison, to a couple of years in prison, is a possible death in Ukraine. So yeah.
It's brutal. That war is brutal, and I feel like the Russian army has sustained heavy losses, right? I mean,
They're speaking about 300, 400 thousand death and injured, maybe 500,000. But it's somehow it's nothing for Putin. But
I know you live in Belgium, but like, do you have a sense of what the conditions are on the ground in Russia and how the I mean, it seems like, I mean, it's very hard to get a read on how popular Putin is because the elections, I don't think that he usually wins like 90% of the vote, which is not an accurate, it's not like a fair election. And so I'm just curious to know, like, is he maintaining power in a concentrated way?
Just fear. It just fear. It just fear. The base of his power is just fear. Just fear. Okay, some 10%, 15%. Okay, some people are deceived. Some folks are just passive and just passive. But his power is based in fear. Think about Prigozhin, one of his main friends, actually, of Putin, Yevgeny Prigozhin.
Oh yeah, this is the guy. This is the guy who led the little mini revolution, right? Like
yes. So when this guy went to Moscow with his little army of 20,000-30,000 killers, no single Russian went to support, even only to show his support to Putin. On the other hand, hundreds, thousands of Russians supported Prigozhin. They taken the photos, the selfies. They brought flowers to these guys. So you saw then that Putin is not popular. He's
not loved. He's definitely not loved.
He's not loved. Absolutely, yeah. It's a right word. So at these 2 days, you could literally see how popular is Putin versus, for example, Prigozhin. Prigozhin was showed to be quite popular, and Putin not. And you see, so I was 27, I believe, when I left Soviet Union, and I lived in this in another totalitarian states, Soviet Union, and what I saw, I didn't saw anyone who really loved the Communist Party or who really loved Brezhnev or Andropov, all these really old guys who went on dying after a year and a half on the top. But it was a notion of it can be changed. It can be changed. This regime can be changed, and if you try to stand up against this regime, you will be crushed. Crushed. You will land somewhere in a prison, and for the best time of your life, and that's all. So I saw only one person, one friend of mine, who went against this, who tried to go against the regime, who did something that was very dangerous, and but okay, it turned out good for him. He didn't went to prison. He 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 went sent out. He was sent out from the Academy of Arts, where he was studying at the moment. But that was it, actually. So, you know, this regime, this Soviet regime at the time, felt as unstoppable, gigantic power, but at some point, folks like me, for example, began to stand up against the regime, and all of a sudden, it turned out that it was possible. It was not that dangerous. It's I survived it, and my novel got published, and all my friends who refused to go to the army, to Afghanistan, no single one of them had to go to the prison. So it's all it takes to bring such a state, such a regime down, is actually courage of enough men and women to stand up, but they have to realize that they can do it, that they are able to do it, that they are courageous enough, and this realization is not there at the moment. But
Well,
also,
yeah,
yeah. But
I've had
also,
the same. I've had the same thought that at some point you would think that if enough people in Russia stood up, that the regime would probably crumble.
yeah, I'm sure of that, but when, that's a problem. That's when will it happen? That, yeah, I don't know. In all honesty, when the war has begun, this really first day, second day, I thought, okay,
The war
it's
with
well,
Ukraine. The war with Ukraine.
with Ukraine. I thought, uh, now is the time. The people will stand up, and this how this regime will crush down, will fall. And I expected, I thought that's thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions they'll go on the street and will bring Putin down, but it didn't happen. So, yeah, so people, as at the time of Afghan war in Afghanistan, the people are rather ready to go and die in Ukraine or in Afghanistan than to stand up against the regime. It's it's a it's a it's a it's a sad and maybe not seemingly not that logical realization. They are agreeing to go to Ukraine, kill Ukrainians, and be killed by Ukrainians, than to stand up against Putin. But it's the reality.
Well, I feel like Russian Gothic is, again, it's like eerily predictive, and it speaks to this moment in Russian history and, like, I guess world history to some extent. I think of like what's happening in Gaza too, like just war in general, and its effects, like, horrific violence and its effects on people. And I congratulate you on the publication of the book in English after all these years.
Yeah.
And I congratulate you on the career that you've built for yourself and the life that you've built for yourself, sort of in opposition to a lot of these totalitarian forces that were trying to stand in your way.
Thank you. And it was nice talking to you and to see you. And I'm extremely curious how it will be read in the US. It wasn't it was a dream, but it's this book has made such a journey, because it has been written somewhere in around 87, I think, maybe 89, and it exists. It still exists. It lives, and I'm glad. I'm happy.
All right, folks, there we go. That was my conversation with Aleksandr Skorobogatov. His novel, Russian Gothic, is now available in translation from Rarebird. The book is translated by Ilona Yazhbin Chavasse. You can find out more about Aleksandr at his website, skorobogatov.com. Follow him on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Once again, that was Aleksandr Skorobogatov. The novel is Russian Gothic. Go get your copy right now. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button wherever you listen. You can also subscribe at YouTube. Follow me on social media, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and Blue Sky. Sign up for my newsletter at Substack. Join the Otherppl Patreon community over at patreon.com/otherpplpod. Help keep this show going into the future. Help me out if you would be so kind by giving this show a rating wherever you listen, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, what have you. Rate it, review it. It helps the show find new listeners. If you want to sign up for my book club or get an Otherppl t-shirt, you can do both of those things at otherppl.com, the show's official website. And I have a book out. My latest novel is called Be Brief and Tell Them Everything. You can read it if you want. It's also available as an audiobook. I narrate the audiobook, so check it out. It's my novel. It's called Be Brief and Tell Them Everything. All right, so coming up on Tuesday of next week, I will be in conversation with Juliet Escoria. She has a new story collection out called You Are the Snake. It is superb, available from Soft Skull Press. Mira Gonzalez should be recovered from her flu, hopefully by next week. So we should resume our summer schedule as planned next week. Author interview on Tuesday, Brad and Mira for The Culture on Thursday, and a monologue on Monday if I have something that I really need to say. All right? Thanks for tuning in, folks. We'll talk to you soon.